I kind of miss the comments coming through. It's like I published a video shutting down the whole community of trolls, saying I put 2 attorneys to task before they had to cough up my property and return it without attempted extortion. So, how much do you think it cost those individuals to hire 2 attorneys? They could have bought a couple of used RVs for what it was worth fighting over mine. Jesus. Anyway, let's talk about treason and a seditious conspiracy. Undermining the Constitution and the rule of law. I'm going to use Maryland, my birth state, as an example. So I made a call the other day to a congressman's office and I had a conversation with him. And as a Virginia resident with a concealed carry permit, I am not, the permit's not reciprocated in the state of Maryland, and it is a may issue permit at a may issue basis. Essentially, they may or may not issue anybody a permit to open carry in the state of Maryland. So in the state constitution, yes, I said state constitution because states have their own constitutions, they thought it was a good idea not to include the right to bear arms. So if you haven't physical land or a car and you are a law-abiding American citizen, you should be able to have, if you own one, a gun on you, on your hip, visible, whatever. You should be able to have that gun. Maryland has a permit. At that point, the politicians and legislators probably colluded with members of the bar and devised legislation that would abrogate the citizen's right to constitutionally carry federally under the Second Amendment. They converted a right that is protected into a privilege, and they may issue a permit for it. Now, let's think about this. How often throughout history have protected rights been converted into privileges? Do you need a permit to gather in public and have an event and bring community together? Yes, absolutely. Majority of towns, counties, and places would want to charge you a fee that they have imposed with legislation. Once again, these people make a law that would convert a protected right into a, say it with me, privilege. Okay, so another example, they wanted to produce legislation that would have gun owners be required to pay an insurance, a hefty insurance, even an equal amount to what it costs to have a name brand gun pretty much brand new off a shelf. And if you have in a home, if you have in a car or a job, but let's say your grandpappy, before he passed away, passed you down a firearm that you're rightfully able to have, the state converted a protected right into a privilege, and they want to extort you over it so they can capitalize off of it and revoke your rights. When they do this with the legislation, they are engaging in treasonous activities, and they are putting legislation into place that would solicit criminal charges or extortion. Law enforcement kicks it off. There's always somebody investigating. And then you're brought into the court system on a malicious prosecution. Oh man, I'm kind of a king of those. I actually prefer those as opposed to non-malicious prosecutions, which I haven't had really any of those. So, and then you have a conviction potentially by a judge, all under the umbrella that it's law. These people are acting under color of law, committing a string of felonies. And what that is called, what I just broke it down for you, and that's racketeering, guys. That is criminal racketeering, and that is showing organization where, what did we say? Felonies? Felonies have occurred. So let me ask you this. There's been more publishes with research and stories on mass psychosis. And the latest, greatest example that was used was the German state and German country in World War II, the state of its citizens. They were all brilliant, and then they all went mad. Just do as you're told. Don't lead by example. Even though you know what's right, just do as you're told. No, I'm sorry, man. We're doing the same thing here in America right now. Our country has long been hijacked, okay? There was usurpation long ago. At what point, I couldn't tell you. But the moment these officials take office and they conspire with others, there's the word, conspiracy. Say it with me, conspiracy. And that's under Title 18 United States Code Section 241. When two or more people, and then when they produce the legislation that would convert a protected right into a privilege and charge you for it or criminalize you for it if you don't abide to the new law of the privileges that they've invoked over protected rights, then they're going to charge you, and they're committing a string of felonies against you. Okay? We let these people because we haven't been in tune with our community. The definition of a citizen is an active member with your community. And, well, I would like to think of myself, by definition, being a citizen. And here I am trying to enlighten the people who don't know law. I'm not a genius. I didn't go to Harvard or Yale. I didn't even go to college for it. But you know what? I'm smart enough to decipher and filter through it and understand it for the most part. So, law has been used against us. Was it not the Revolutionary War where we fought off Britain and pretty much sent the lawmakers back to England on boats saying, get the hell out of here. You've extorted colonists, citizens, used rule of law to take their property and money. Get out of here, dude. We don't want this stuff. Well, you know what? We had been usurped. Our country had been infiltrated, and rule of law was used to undermine the ability to be free. See, the word freedom, I don't like at all. I don't even want to use it. You have a prefix and a suffix, free, dom. I look at it as free with domination. Dom short for domination. We have domination presiding over the freedom and over the ability to be free, sorry. And why can't we just be free? Why do we need freedoms? I'm sorry. I don't want to consent to all this bullshit. And it's got to the point where a string of felonies occurs against me almost annually now by different cities, counties, members of law enforcement, and, you know, the officials that work within. I have had my original initial case, the first ticket to the courthouse recently, when I was arrested for assuming duties and impersonation of law enforcement. My public defender, Elizabeth Trent, undermined my right to control my own criminal defense. And I'm good at this, mind you, because false charges are a thing, apparently. If you guys don't know, law enforcement doesn't study law. They're a bunch of jacklegs who would rather charge you and let everybody else potentially figure it out. They ain't got a clue. So they actually have told me, different officers, that when they come aboard, they get a list of the most commonly committed violations. Mind you, these are patrolmen. These are guys who get in a cheat sheet of hot charges. And They got this thing called cover charges. No, you're not getting into a show. You're potentially getting in the jail. And these cover charges are issued to trump up and start a malicious prosecution. For instance, the most popular cover charges right now in the state of Colorado are obstruction of justice and resisting arrest. Now, when an officer issues cover charges to launch a malicious prosecution, we have an officer who has committed perjury. If there's no evidence that you've committed any crimes, that officer lied to get you into the court. So why don't we question the competency of this officer while we're at it, while you're in court? Back to the whole seditious conspiracy. You know, once again, we have lawmakers who are in office who we trust in. You know, they don't care about us. They don't care about us. Every single one of them has taken the hot seat to get rich, to make tons of money. You want to know why? Because the average class of citizenry in the private sector pays the man. Oh, do we pay the man? At every turn we pay the man. And, you know, that's using a lot of law to oppress us. And, you know, backing up with the DMV, I noticed that there is actually, forgot the code. It's in the federal, oh man, I wish I could recall this right now. It was basically for forced slave labor. And, there is nothing within the Department of Motor Vehicles to aid any individuals to get in a car at the bare minimum, to travel in, to shelter in, or to run and take care of their basic essential needs with. So essentially, if I get handed a car and I haven't had a license or any of that before, I have to go to work. I have to go to work. I have to get money to go pay that man. But you know what? That man does not exist. It's a conglomerate of legislators who just wanted to tax us at every damn turn. Most of it without just cause. In the county, Halifax County, they issue tickets. It is a county. It's called a county sticker, and you get taxed, and you got to pay for this. And the county sticker doesn't exist anymore. They quit producing it. So we have no cost for materials, no cost for labor to manufacture, no cost to distribute, but we're still paying the tax on a ghost sticker. What? Has the tax went down on the sticker? No. Well, we don't make a sticker. You'd think that we'd get like $1 off or something. No. You don't. You got to pay for that. You've got to pay for that. I'm under the scrutiny of double taxation living in a town and county. So they stick it to those residents twice. And doesn't matter if you don't have shit, just a car, you're going to be double taxed on it. So be prepared to work really hard for shit for the rest of your lives, guys, as long as we continue to allow these people to perpetuate strings of felony against us on a regular basis. These people are in positions of power, and most of them don't have an adequate education as far as what's the right word? They have no really experience struggling. These people that don't struggle to get into office, that just get in, they haven't seen it, okay? The system was designed to keep us down. You see how I've reported on over the past year of a string of felonies being committed against me, where I am reporting a seditious conspiracy of people who are obstructing justice, and while doing so, that is retaliatory and tampering with a victim of crime. It's hard to believe that my RV was stolen from me for 516 days, and then all of a sudden, just out of the blue, it magically reappears. And they relinquished my stolen property. They held it for ransom. They dumped it off in public. They damaged it during tow and transport. And they get away with it because they're government contracted, and the guys at their government paid table don't want to press charges and investigate. We already went through the definitions of trespassing and what that is. And, you know, I have been attempting to report a seditious conspiracy where people undermine the Constitution here and the rule of law and carry out retaliatory acts against victims of crime where they obstruct felony crime and justice. I have been charged with obstruction of justice and resisting in my life. And they got the wrong guy. Butchered the description. I was minding my own business, making a grocery list at the top of a Walmart parking lot. I got my ass handed to me because I cut the car off and I asked for a supervisor in loss prevention to come exonerate me, and refused to talk with the little peon officers who don't know ass from elbows. Officer Parta and Jarvis beat my ass that night, hogtied me. The soup finally came. Loss prevention watched it go down, and not once did they volunteer the information and say, that's not the guy. They weren't confused. They knew it wasn't me. They just let it happen. Pure entertainment for them. So, you know, I know about these cover charges. I know about felonies being committed against me by people who are clearly immune because of a criminal organization operating where they are willfully blind, which exhibits a criminal state of mind whilst obstructing justice. And it's nasty, guys. If you or anybody you know are victims of crime and you have to deal with law enforcement, they aren't going to do their job. Patrolmen aren't investigators. They got one or two investigators in the station. They don't give a shit about your bicycle. They don't care about your broken car windows. They don't care about it. But I guess, you know, they care when you go 1 mile per hour over the speed limit. They're going to hop your ass with the lights, pull you over, and hand you a ticket. Why? Because they need to make that quota, baby. They need to make that quota. They got to go for those promotions. Getting that quota means they're doing their job. They're making that money for the state. We know what you're up to. And I want to give a shout out to my homegirl who was charged with obstruction and resisting out in Colorado, Michelle Rodriguez. She was ripped out of her house, rights violated, and she was beaten and drugged by Boulder, Colorado's fucking ugliest, nastiest people. Officers that work for Boulder City Police Department. They're really vile. I'm assuming it was potentially the neighborhood impact team that dealt with her. But they used a drug on her for end of life. And the moment she made a filing and made allegations against officers, not criminal, we're getting there. Michelle's about to be making criminal allegations against these officers. And we're going to see if the judge looks at the criminal information at face value and apprehends and charges the individual who committed the string of felonies against Michelle, or we're going to see if we're going to record more obstruction of justice and retaliation against a victim, witness, and informant of crime. Because Michelle, who's the victim, is given crime victims' rights. And that means the court is supposed to provide an umbrella of protection for Michelle. If the judge overlooks the felony crimes that the officer committed, the judge is an accessory after the fact, people. I'm not lying to you. I don't want to lie. I don't have a need to tell frivolous, non-fruitful stories. So,
The moment we record the judge obstructing justice, the court loses its jurisdiction. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. Don't let a crooked ass person who is operating on behalf of the Blue Wall of Silence, a known documented criminal organization within the Supreme Court of the United States of America, do not give these criminals the opportunity to get over on you. You record everything, document everything. If you can converse in writing, get it all in writing. I bet you'll catch them slipping. We have a friend right now in the courts, in the ICC courts, and the judge, whose initial order it was, I'm not sorry, the woman hasn't violated protection order. My bad. Let me get this straight. Woman's violated an order being in contempt of the court, and she hired more bar members to cook up papers to basically be in contempt of court on her own accord to try to be free, violating the initial judge's order. The judge said in record, written, this is kidnapping and a violation of the Second Rome Statute. We have a judge not apprehending, once again, criminals. Say it with me. Criminals. We have a judge refusing to carry out the rules of law, who is now retaliating against a gentleman who's a victim of this criminal episode, where the court's providing no umbrella for safety and security. We are finding that the international criminal courts are, well, it's a conflict of interest. They're losing their jurisdiction. They can't provide protection. That's that. So I want you guys to think about that. I want you guys to think, you know what? I got these trolls. I don't care about the trolls, but for the ones who may come across my videos, learn something and get enlightened, I challenge you. Wherever you're from, wherever you've been, get curious. See if you can find laws that where you have a protected right, it's been converted into a privilege. I'm going to use, for example, Chuck. Chuck here is protected under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. Remember how the states have their own? I'm not talking about United States. I'm talking about the Virginia Constitution. So they have no regard for my federally protected private property, my vehicle. The definition federally of a motor vehicle I've covered before. I'm going to cover it again. I'm going to sum it up. Self-propelled vehicle with an engine, wheels, propelled by motor. That is used by you for what? Commercial purposes. That's right. For commercial purposes on the highways. This truck, federally, by definition of motor vehicle, this isn't used for commercial purposes on the highway. Now, let's look at the state of Virginia's definition. Any self-propelled vehicle, wheels with an engine, yeah. Wait. Federal for commercial purposes. State. Wait. That's every vehicle. Now this turned into a motor vehicle. So, once again, treason, racketeering, where legislators would abrogate a protected right to property under the Fourth Amendment and change the definition at a state level because they copied and pasted, I'll tell you that. But they erased the words for commercial purposes. Now scrutinizing what was federally protected, now we've converted it into a privilege where it is no longer a right to own. Oh, I can own it, but I just can't park it in public on a road. I have no right to it. No federal right unless I'm bound by land. Speaking of which, I told the DMV back a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I was homeless. I said, take my driver's license address off and put homeless on there. And they said, we can't do that. You got to have an address. I said, well, I don't have an address. What are you going to do? They took my license from me because there is a rule that you have to have a physical address. I am required to be bound to a physical address to be a patron of the DMV, to enlist in at-will services for the monopoly of services that they provide. They actually told the police on my false arrest to take my driver's license from me, putting my citizenship at risk. I can only go back to the Virginia DMV for photo ID. It's a monopoly, guys. To get that photo ID again, I had to pay for it. I had to go to work to get the ID that they took from me because I was homeless. You know, they report to a third party too and tip off an agency that communicates with insurance companies. And they told them they took my driver's license from me. So when I went shopping for insurance and I'm getting the stuff, my privilege is instated over protected rights because I'm afraid to fight continuously for certain aspects where I believe people need to organize and fight together, like with their protected property, federally protected property. So I got to pick and choose my battles. Long story short, shopping for insurance in the last 5 years, when I see my record in the form and the quotes, my cost had gone up because my driver's license has been canceled, revoked, suspended. That's what it was listed. Now, why was it? Let's see. Let's check the date and time, cross-reference it. Oh, yeah. The DMV took my license from me because I told them I was homeless and did not have a physical address. So they communicate with other agencies and conspire to have me charged more money for being poor and homeless. I recorded discrimination. I recorded fraud within the DMV. And when I went to report it and escalated it to the commissioner's office, I got Vivian Chatham on the phone and an email. Vivian here, she called me names in emails and private correspondence to other employees. Got the records in FOIA. She said, this is the homeless man, the solvent citizen. Vivian called me solvent. Okay, cool. That's libel, Vivian. You're calling me names. I believe the sovereign citizen movement is on the terrorist watch list, if I'm not mistaken. Were you calling me a terrorist, Vivian? Now, Vivian, I reported crime to the DMV. Are you retaliating against me by committing libel and burying criminal reports of fraud and racketeering that I reported to your agency, which is a conflict of interest, by the way? But I filled out the law enforcement form, and the evidence has been suppressed. The actual case not investigated. Am I lying? Absolutely not. Do you want to know why? I'm not lying when I say the things that I'm saying, because when I follow through with these papers that I file and the criminal complaints that I make, I swear under penalty of perjury that what I'm attesting to is in fact truthful and honest. And I also know that I can be liable for filing false reports. I can be criminally charged and apprehended. And I don't want a non-malicious prosecution coming my way for filing false reports. So I want the people who genuinely might tune in and follow my YouTube channel to ask themselves, if I haven't been arrested for filing false reports, you got to think to yourselves, why wouldn't they arrest me? If it was that much stuff that I'm reporting, why wouldn't they arrest me? They don't want it into official record. That's why. They want to continue to obstruct justice because it suits their criminal organization. You guys need to enlighten yourselves. We're reaching a point in society where government, those aren't the protectors. That's not the protector. The government's supposed to be there to protect its people, not retaliate against them. And we are a class of auditors, and we are ensuring rights are honored and law is carried out. And we come to realize that the system only operates how it wants to operate against us, and rarely ever for us, for the people. So it's against the people. The system that we created needs beheaded. It's a beast. It's a monster. It's out of control. It's ran by people who are with criminal states of mind. And this is creating legal abuse syndrome for citizens of the United States who are enduring issues like this, like things that I've conveyed. There is a mass psychosis happening where people are doing as they're told, and if you try to exercise your rights and somebody believes you shouldn't, they're going to try to stop you because they're over opinionated and they want no part in this country's original constitution and what our rights are. They want no part of that. They don't care as long as they have more control over you. Guys, I'm out. It's been a good half hour, and I want you, the viewer, to do a little research. Be diligent. I want you to find out what's happening in your community. Oh, I'll give you something easy. If a permit is being issued for people to gather in public, free people, not a business, free people. If a permit's being required and charges are being solicited, you're being fined. This is racketeering, okay? You can find this all across the United States. You can find it all across the United States. We got the right to gather, right to assemble, and they converted a protected right to a privilege, which we got the express authority to refuse and ignore those privileges and the laws regarding when it's a protected right. Be careful for the gang members in blue. It won't stop them from coming at you. They're there for blood. They're there for your money and blood. Everything you got, they want to take it from you. That's what their job is. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the power. Being an officer will take you places. You know, could take you far in the politics, could take you into the justice system. When you're corrupt already, who the fuck knows? Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. I am going to be getting out of here. It's been good. It's been real. It's been nice. It hadn't been real nice, but you know. As for the trolls that had just quit commenting because you know I'm right and you're wrong, it's okay. Let the butt hurt flow through you.